Welcome back to a new video. So this is my Friday and Saturday training sessions, and Friday was kind of a weird day. So Thursday night, I basically I'm theorizing that I spiked a fever. I really should just get a thermometer or something, but it's just not really that important. But I was super cold when I went to bed, and when I was sleeping, I had essentially fever dreams, like really weird dreams, and did not sleep very well. Just kept waking up. Did go to bed relatively early, so I did have like a good amount of sleep, but it just, obviously not good quality when you're feverish like that. But also very strangely, when I woke up, I didn't feel very bad. I knew I didn't feel good, but I suppose you all know the difference between, waking up and you're feeling just normal versus like that sick when you wake up and you just feel like the world is ending. And I didn't really have that. I just had more of a normal feeling when I woke up. Not certainly well rested, but good enough to go to work on Friday. So Friday was a normal day. I definitely kind of felt throughout the day that I didn't have 100% of the energy that I would normally have. But also, strangely enough, in the morning I was down to 234 pounds, which is about 3 to 5 pounds really less than what I've been typically weighing. Usually at night I'm closer to 240, and then usually in the morning closer to 238, but could be 239, just usually around there. So seeing 234 was kind of weird, because I weighed myself first in like sweatpants or whatever, and I was like 235. I was like, how much do I actually weigh? And I was 234 without just my skivvies on. So that was rather weird. But after I ate breakfast and drank a bunch of fluids, had a bunch of orange juice, I was up to 237 when I left for work. So that was kind of interesting, kind of odd, but I think that's just more evidence that I was, in a feverish state throughout the night and lost a bunch of fluid, which is, it's expected, but I'm not typically losing that much throughout the night. And the previous day, like, I ate and drank fine, so it wasn't like a systemic thing. It definitely was that night, but it was very phlegmy. Still am very phlegmy, and it's starting to get better with that. Whatchamacallit. So Saturday, like, I felt fine, or I have been feeling fine. I'm recording this Saturday night, so I don't have any like fatigue from the cold, which I thought was gone. Like, it was last Saturday, and then it got progressively better, then it kind of just got worse again. But maybe it was just festering. That was just the peak of it, which kind of makes me feel better, because like you'll see here with clean jerks, they didn't really feel good at all this week, and maybe that's because the illness kind of took out that extra aggression. But snatches went really well, as you saw. I was able to do 120 for 3 singles, but here 145, clean looked kind of hard, and the jerk I just got smashed on. And then I tried to do it again, but just cleaned it, a better clean, but just did not have enough air for the 145. So I was kind of concerned in that regard. But, with the illness and the weight loss, it kind of made sense that, something would be negatively impacted. But decided Saturday should be a good day for block work. So I got all the blocks out. So I actually can do jerks from the blocks and stuff from the blocks. I'm just much too lazy to set them out on a regular basis, but I figure Saturday's gonna be a good day to force myself to do them and just set them out, because I actually don't dislike using them. It's not like, oh, I don't like the movement. It's just setting them up and taking them down is so cumbersome. But decided that Saturdays will be, and I tried the crash pads out, but it felt a little bit too high for me, and I didn't want to be bumping the plates on the crash pads as I was trying to do them. I don't think I would have, but just thinking about it probably would have psyched me out a little bit. And decided to start with some snatch push press, which went so well. Best probably snatch push press session of my life, which was really unexpected, but I haven't done them in a while, and I honestly don't know if I've ever done them from like reps from the blocks like this. I'm sure I've done them before, just because when the blocks are out, it's one of the movements that are easy to do. But you see here's triple at 100, went up to 120. I believe it was 3 triples. I guess we'll see. But the triples were really easy, and it was odd because the first rep felt easy. I kind of get like doing multiple repetitions at a weight would feel, easier than what it would if I was re-racking them. But if any of the reps were going to feel difficult, I would assume it would be like the first one, because that's, the rep that I would normally be doing. But I don't know if doing like that quarter squat was able to, get me some extra tension or whatever. But once I did that first rep, I was just like in a rhythm with all of these reps. And I felt like I could have done like a set of 10 with this 120. It was really odd, but it's one of those movements I think is probably good to do, but it's kind of easy, at least for me, to overload it probably a little bit too much. You'll see here I was able to get up to 150, which I'm like 99% sure I haven't done before. I feel like I've done 145 before, but if I've done 150 before, I certainly didn't do it as easy as this session. But it's not something where I'm like, all right, I need to get to 160 or 170 or something crazy high for a snatch push press. It's more sets like this where I'm doing sets of 3. Wasn't even paying attention to how many times I did the 120, but multiple sets of 3, and then here with 130 doing a set of 3. And really this probably is a PR triple with it, but it's kind of weird because like when you're re-racking it, it's obviously significantly more difficult to do repetitions than from the block. So I have to keep that in mind. And then here's a 140 triple, definitely most I've done in a snatch push press. And you see the first rep kind of difficult, but it's like once I got into the mindset that I'm doing it, then the other reps felt better. You see here, this one is probably, I think the last rep of the set was the best one. I feel like I got the most aggressive with that, but with Saturdays, I think it will be good for this because, Friday will be a heavy session. This will be a good kind of like, I can still push lifts hard, but they're not snatch and clean jerk. And I would argue that probably working on the jerks more is going to be a good thing, particularly because I can get a lot more volume in, a lot of reps. The snatch push press, I think, will just be good for just overhead stability, but the jerks will be the really big important thing to work on. But did doubles with these, was originally thinking maybe doing triples, but kind of settled on doubles. Tony unfortunately said I should do them from the front, not behind the neck jerks, but honestly probably a good thing for me to do just to get as much practice from the front rack. Behind the neck jerks for me are pretty easy, and particularly obviously the front normal jerks or from the front rack is going to be a better carryover, and so there's not any reason to necessarily do that. I think the only reason I would move to behind the neck jerks is maybe if there is some sort of like, I don't even know, like if I had a wrist issue, if that would help. I don't even think it would. Probably just for like novelty, because it's not a lift I have to necessarily practice to do. It's pretty kind of like the snatch push press, as you saw. Like I hadn't done it in a while and I was able to push it pretty easy. So having stuff behind the neck is not particularly different than in the front. I would say it's probably easier for the most part, even without doing it very frequently. But these I did 2 doubles at 125, and you see probably honestly just more recover from the illness on this day. And then here is 140 where I was able to do it for a double. I went up to 150. I missed it twice for like a double attempt the first time. Then I came back and made it for a single and missed the second rep. And the misses were interesting because normally with my bum left shoulder and stuff, usually if I have a soft lockout, it's on the left side, but it was the right side, like on all of the reps I missed today, which is kind of odd. Like it was pushed out in front, which is, like there, like a pretty typical thing if I'm going to miss a jerk. But like my right arm was the one that wasn't locking out, which, I don't have any, there's no like pain or like mobility discomfort with it. It's just kind of, I don't know, a unique thing. So it wasn't really like throwing me off or anything. It was just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And so it's just something to, I guess, pay attention to. But I didn't mention the Friday session after I did the clean jerk stuff. I didn't do any other, squats or pulls and stuff. I decided to go and do some pullovers and push those, did a good amount of volume with those. So I want to be better about doing more volume in the exercise work, particularly if I just had to pick one, like the dumbbell pullovers, because that kind of works my triceps and shoulders and everything. So it's almost like a compound accessory movement. I took a crack here at 155. Wasn't really close, but it kind of gives me a good benchmark from which to push on these days. And then dropped down to 140. I did it for 3, which I think ties my best ever. And then on the 4th one was where my right arm was really not locked out and it was out in front. But it gives me a nice point to start to push and start to get volume at doing like 140 for doubles and stuff. Really just need to hammer these every single Saturday. I think once a week is going to be sufficient. I don't think I would comply to doing it if I was like, all right, I'm going to do it twice a week, just because the blocks are so annoying. But I think mentally I can force myself to do them once a week, and particularly if they're starting to make my jerks and shoulders and everything feel really good, I think it'll just kind of reinforce me doing it. Plus, it's kind of like a fun Saturday session after doing heavy stuff the previous day, or at least that's the idea. And so even if I maxed out crazy the day before, I can come in and push pretty hard off the blocks. And even if I didn't, and say that I only did sets at like 130, like I can push the volume pretty hard with the jerks and stuff because I'm not catching the re-rack. So mentally, they're a lot, well, physically and mentally, they're a lot easier in that regard as well. Ended the session with some triples in the back squat. So I went 71, 20, 170. This was what I considered my first working set. My original thought was to do 10 sets of 3, but I just really didn't have the energy. And by this point, I was starting to get hungry. And so I wanted to not necessarily be done, but I just didn't want to do 10 sets of 3. Here's 190 for a triple. That went really well. I do have a belt and knee sleeves on, so I think that is important to note. I basically always have it on, some sort of thing on my knees. Not always a belt, but with this sweatshirt, I put it on underneath my sweatshirt, so I'm not trying to be sneaky with it. I just, it's more comfortable underneath the sweatshirt when I have a bulky one on. But it was decently cold out. I think it was in the upper 30s, but with the blocks, I think it was kind of helping the insulation where I was. It got pretty warm in the shed, which was nice. So that was kind of nice. It made the training quite easy as far as the temperature went. But after doing that 210 for a triple, which is 10 kilos under my best, I believe 220 is my best triple, 220 or 225, but I definitely have done 220 for a triple. So that 210 I was really happy with, particularly because I haven't gone heavy in a couple weeks or whatever. Then did 2 drop sets there at 150, and I think sticking with the triples and trying to move them fast is the mindset, or at least the idea that I'm going to have. And I don't necessarily want to stick to doing only 5 sets of 3. I want to have other days, maybe Saturdays or the day where I push the triples up like I did today. And then on another 1 or 2 days, I do 10 sets of 3, similar to how I did last week where I did them all at the same weight. So some different things I'm thinking about there. But 2, I would say, interesting sessions. It was interesting that I was ill and I was still able to get up to 120 in the snatch and do that 3 times and do relatively decent reps. And then get absolutely smashed by clean jerks and almost turn into Ripikov with only clean jerking 130. But then the next day being able to jerk more than what I was able to the previous day, and hit a snatch push press PR, which was kind of random, and then squat really well. So hopefully that means that the illness is working its way out and it's all done. I will say with the amount of phlegm that I've been expelling, it's I certainly hope that it's getting out, because I don't want to experience as much phlegm as I have today and yesterday. But it's interesting because I don't feel bad, and usually if I am sick and training's going bad, I usually don't feel good on top of that. But mentally is I haven't really felt the more fatigue or anything, so just a regular old cold as far as I'm concerned. But good Saturday session. Tomorrow will be block snatches and overhead press, as well as some pulls. And some pulls, I might go back to kind of pushing them a little bit. The snatch pulls, I kind of think I should kind of keep them around what I have down off the floor. I feel like that was one of the reasons why they went well on that Friday. But the clean pulls, I might need to push a little bit more just so I can just move a little bit heavier weight. So I probably like 170, 180, but I have to be careful with that because I'm addicted to doing heavy deadlifts. So I definitely think the 300 kilo deadlift I did last week wasn't the most advantageous thing for recovery. So I have to kind of pay attention to that if I'm going to do it. Doing it on like a Friday or even a day like today would have been a better day to do it. But really, I just don't need a heavy deadlift. It's really just not to my advantage. I would say anything above probably 260, 270 is probably going to be more of a detriment than helping me out just from the cost benefit of doing a heavier pull like that. But we'll see how I'm feeling next week and how I want to structure things. The other plan is to not do morning sessions as frequently as I did. So I didn't do one today, or I'm not planning on doing one tomorrow. I think there will be a day like Wednesday where I'll try to do like front squats in the morning. Still playing around with that, but I just kind of want to leave that tool there and not abandon it after just doing it for 1 week, but just kind of play with it to see if it can fit in a way that's beneficial to training. But still on the other days, I still want to wake up early and do like cardio and stuff and mobility, because I do like actually waking up a little bit earlier and just having more of the morning before I go to school. So I think I will stick with that routine and kind of not necessarily go and squat most mornings, but do, cardio and stretching and stuff. So I think that would just be generally like a good morning habit to have, as well as, good cardio for health reasons and stuff like that. But with that being said, that's going to be it for this one. And I hope you all have a good one. Peace.